Hi, my name's James Bezic. I'm a Senior Developer Advocate here at AWS Serverless, and today I'm going to show you how to use Amazon EventBridge Schema Registry and Discovery. AWS is a rich source of events. Events are generated from AWS services, SaaS applications, and your custom apps. With so many sources, it can be really challenging to know what to expect when consuming events. A schema represents the structure of an event. It helps define what you can expect in the event, both in terms of attributes and data types. For example, a customer review might always contain a user ID as an integer and a review as a string. EventBridge helps automate the manual process of finding and documenting schemas. There are two capabilities here, a schema registry and schema discovery. A schema registry is simply a container and stores a collection of schemas. You can use a schema registry to search for, find, and track different schemas used and generated by your applications. Schemas for all AWS sources supported in EventBridge are automatically visible in your schema registry. SaaS partner and custom schemas can be generated and added to the registry using the schema discovery feature. A schema registry enables you to easily use events as objects in your code. Let's take a look at how to use this in the AWS Management Console. So first of all, go to the Management Console and open up the EventBridge homepage, and then go to Schema Registry. Now on this page, you can learn about how the Schema Registry works, and it shows how versioning can be used along with code bindings. It also gives you an intro to the toolkit plugins that are available. Now clicking on schemas, there are three different types. You have AWS event schemas, and for here, I can search for anything that's supported within EventBridge. So S3, for example, has a range of different schemas available, and you can look through each of these. You also have Discovered Schema Registry, which currently is empty, but we'll come back to that in just a minute, and a custom schema registry for your own application. So I'm going to click Create Schema Registry here and call it My Registry. Okay, so we've got now a registry that's our own, but there are no schemas in there. So I'll click on Create Custom Schema. I'll set this so it goes into My Registry and then call the schema User. Now here, I can choose to create the schema using a template, using an open API format, and I can manually enter everything there, and that'll be just fine. Alternatively, I can have the service discover the schema from JSON. So I'm going to create a JSON event here and have it do the discovery for us. I'm going to call this, give it an ID of 1, and then a name of James, and then subscriber rate using a decimal. Then I hit Discover Schema, and you can see that this has extrapolated the schema from that JSON object. It shows that the ID is a number, the name is a string, and the subscription rate is a double. Now, if I change the subscription rate to a dollar currency value as a string, and then have it discover the schema again, you can see that now it's changed that type to a string. I'm going to change that back to a number, and then hit Create. And now you can see we've got our own schema in the registry using that simple event. Now you can also search across schemas, and this is a really powerful feature. If I search for that attribute, subscription rate, you can see it's found my user schema there. If I search for name, it'll match many more since that's a much more common attribute. Okay, I'm going to use VS Code now to download the code bindings for our new schema. So here what I can do is use the AWS Toolkit extension for VS Code. Now you can find this in the extensions marketplace under AWS Toolkit for Visual Studio Code. Once you've installed that, you'll see the icon appear on the left-hand side. I'm in Ohio, so I'm just going to open the schemas there, and you see My Registry and the user schema that we created. If I view this schema, it's exactly the same thing that we saw in the console. So now what I want to do is create an application by downloading a code binding. First, I'll create a simple TypeScript empty application. And now I'm going to right-click this and hit Download Code Binding. I'll select version 1 of my schema. You can choose Java, Python, or TypeScript because they're all type-safe languages. I'm going to select TypeScript and then EventBridge demo. You can see the warnings in the corner saying that it's downloading and it could take a while to extract the information. If I flip back to the Explorer view of my application, inside a new schema directory, you can see it's downloaded the event. It's created a class that represents the event object, and there's a marshaller in place as well. So now I'll create my application. I'm going to call this index.ts for TypeScript. I'm going to import this class. So import event from schema/user event. Now all I need to do is create a new instance of this event. And now I can use this, and IntelliSense can tell which properties are available. You can see an ID property is available as a number there. So ID equals 12. If I look at name, it shows that it's a string. I can now set that to James, and I'll do the subscriber rate, and I will now set that to 12. I'll put this in a string, and if I put $1234, you can see the ID is thrown an error because it's not assignable to a number. So I'll take away the string, and now that's fine. So I'll console log this event object out, and then we'll just run the TypeScript compiler, and then run the node file, and you can see that it's now logged out the event. So that's fine for manually created events, but what if we want to use schemas from events and have the system automatically detect the schema for us? For that, we can use the discovered schema registry. At the moment, there's nothing in there, but we're going to create a schema using this. So I'm going to go to an event bus. Now I have a custom event bus for a Zendesk here. I'm going to click that, and then say I'm going to start discovery over here. So now what this does is it creates a rule on that event bus where it's going to listen to every event going through the bus to be able to discover the schema. You can see that rule has been created there. If I go over to Zendesk, I'm going to add a new ticket. I'm going to say this is a test ticket, and just put description with an example description and submit as new. This will cause an event to be created. Now over in EventBridge, if I go back now to the schema discoverer, it won't show anything right now, but it'll show up in just a few minutes. Okay, now that's ready, you can see that it's discovered multiple schemas for Zendesk. Now the ticket's been created. I'm going to look at this last one here, the ticket created event. And you can see it's captured the schema that Zendesk has submitted in this JSON, and it's been converted into this schema document. Now going back to Visual Studio Code, what I can do now is create an application around that schema. So I'll create a new TypeScript application and go to the AWS Toolkit, where you can now see discovered schemas are available under schemas. I'm going to open that. These are all the different types of schema that the system has identified. We're going to use this last one again, the ticket created schema. Now, if I look at the schema, it's exactly the same thing that we saw in the console earlier. It shows all of the different types expected for different attributes. Now, I'm going to download the code bindings for this. I'll select version 1 and TypeScript and EventBridge demo for my project. It shows that it's downloading the code, and let's take a minute or two. And then back in the files, we can see there's a schema directory that's been created. I'm just going to create my application, index.ts. I'll put this side by side so we can see what's going on a little bit more clearly. Now here I'm going to import this class, the support ticket created class. And it's already completed the directory. You can see that's come from that schema directory that's been imported into my project. Now I'm going to create an instance called ticket of a new support ticket. And now when I use ticket, you can see the IDE knows about all the different properties that are available. It sees there's a ticket event there, and there's a type property, the type ticket event. And in the ticket type, you can see all these different properties that are shown on the left-hand side that come from the schema. And you can see those different types, they're all strings. I'm going to select group ID. Actually, I'll select instead status, and I can say that's ABC, and that's a string, so that works. Whereas if I said it was 1, you'd see an error in the IDE because that's not the type that it's expecting. And I can really select any of these properties. Here I select type, and I can give that a type of whatever I choose, ABC. And that's basically how you bring in these schemas directly into your projects in Visual Studio Code. Schema management can be challenging when using event buses. EventBridge makes light work of automatically detecting and discovering schemas, both within AWS services, SaaS partners, and your custom applications. You can directly import code bindings into many of the most popular IDEs, which can help accelerate development for you and your team. To learn more, visit aws.amazon.com/EventBridge. Thanks for joining me for this brief overview. Happy coding!